I have Blake Lively's opposition to summary judgment in my hands, and I swear to you, this thing doesn't read like a legal argument. It reads like the moment a celebrity finally realizes the courtroom doesn't operate on charm, lighting, or curated vulnerability. You can feel the entitlement in every paragraph, like she genuinely believed the court would bend just because she showed up. That's why the panic is so loud. This isn't a confident plaintiff. This is someone who thought fame and feelings would carry her across the finish line, and now she's watching the law refuse to play along. The first page tells you everything. She attacks Baldoni's motion with words that sound fierce but mean nothing, hoping that loudness will disguise weakness. When someone starts a legal brief by calling the opposing argument ill-conceived and legally baseless, they're not winning. They're flailing. They're filling the silence because they don't have evidence. The entire opposition has this energy. It's like she's arguing with the judge, the same way she argues with paparazzi, assuming tone will overshadow substance. But the courtroom doesn't care about tone. It cares about facts, and facts are exactly what she does not have. Let's talk about her first major request, because it's almost unbelievable. She asks the court to conform the pleadings to the evidence, which sounds technical until you realize what it means. She wants the judge to rewrite her lawsuit because she didn't bring enough facts the first time. Imagine filing a lawsuit you spent months hyping, only to walk in and say, "Hey, can you actually fix this for me?" A plaintiff telling the truth doesn't need the judge to patch holes. A plaintiff telling the truth files correctly the first time. Blake didn't, and she knows it. From here, the whole filing becomes a masterclass in avoidance. She refuses to confront the one fatal problem at the center of her case. The movie was shot in New Jersey. The alleged conduct happened in New Jersey. Every rehearsal, every fitting, every blocking discussion, every heated moment occurred in New Jersey. Geography is not her friend, and she can't perform her way out of it. So instead of addressing it, she tries to build a fantasy where New Jersey magically counts as Los Angeles because someone checked their email from California. She keeps referencing California ties like she's reciting affirmations, Zoom calls, phone meetings, remote executives, PR consultants. She stacks these details like they'll magically fuse into jurisdiction. If Zoom calls counted as physical location, half the country would be litigating from states they've never stepped foot in. The law has never treated remote work as a teleportation device. But Blake needs it to. She needs California law because it's stronger, broader, and far more favorable to her narrative. FIHA is the crown jewel of workplace claims. The problem is, she didn't film her crown jewel case in the right kingdom. Then she grabs onto the contract clause like it's the last raft on the Titanic. She insists that a choice of law provision meant for business disputes should somehow unlock California civil rights law. She's treating a basic contract line like it's a golden ticket, counting on the court to ignore that it applies to business disputes, not harassment statutes. It's the weakest argument she has, yet it's the one she clutches the tightest, because without it, her entire case drowns instantly. We also have the procedural disaster that looks terrible no matter how she spins it. She filed her CRD complaint on December 20th. She filed her federal case 11 days later. Then, after the federal case was already filed, she ran back and amended the CRD complaint to try to make it match. This is not how timing works. It's like trying to squeeze into the dress you wore 15 years and 2 kids ago, and then suing the tailor for it not zipping up. She knows this is a problem, which is why she spills paragraphs trying to mask it. But a date is a date. A rushed filing is a rushed filing, and the judge can read a calendar. Now we get to the part of her opposition that is almost theatrical. She tries to turn PR activity into retaliation, not workplace actions, not on-set behavior, public relations, interviews, media narratives. She wants the judge to believe that promotional strategy equals punishment, that disagreements over branding count as emotional harm, that any response the studio had to her behind-the-scenes actions was somehow an act of aggression. She is redefining harassment as the industry, not framing her exactly how she wanted to be framed. What she doesn't tell you is that the record suggests her complaints were strategically reserved. The timeline suggests she was instead focused on asserting significant control over the project, with access to creative decisions, including unusually broad access to the edit. She was the one making unilateral creative decisions, which radically contradicts her current claim of powerlessness. Her actions, as documented by the defense, ultimately forced the studio to brace for impact, framing the ensuing PR battle as a natural consequence, not an act of retaliation. When someone is building a bomb shelter, the explosion isn't retaliation. It's the natural consequence of their own actions. Her opposition runs on repetition. She keeps insisting she was intimidated, uncomfortable, unsafe, silenced. But there's a problem. None of it matches her behavior. She can't cry powerless when all the power flowed through her. That isn't fear. That's revision. She wasn't a sidelined actress. She was the one steering the entire production. She had access. She had influence. She had editing control. She had the studio's ear. She had leverage. And it appears that she used all of it until the narrative no longer suited her. She sprinkles in psychological terms like Darvo to make her story sound textbook, but the only thing that's textbook is how far this filing stretches from the documented timeline. The narrative she offers now seems less like a memory and more like a revision crafted long after the fact. She tries to paint Baldoni as controlling, while conveniently skipping the part where her own filing describes her unusually broad access to editing and tone decisions. The filing itself describes creative involvement that makes her sudden claim of powerlessness feel a little mismatched. She wants to be the director and the damsel simultaneously, and those roles do not coexist. Then there's the timing. The gap between when these events occurred and when she finally raised them creates a credibility problem the filing can't patch over. None of these concerns appear when they allegedly happened. They all appear once the lawsuit becomes real. It's a timing issue the filing dances around but never resolves. By the time you reach the end, something becomes painfully clear. Blake isn't really fighting Baldoni. She's fighting the version of events she needs people to believe. And the opposition proves that her narrative only survives when she leaves out the details that contradict it. She's hoping the court will reward emotion over evidence, performance over proof, and vibes over jurisdiction. But the law doesn't work that way. Jurisdiction is not a metaphor. It is not a feeling. It is not something you can influence with celebrity, PR, or crafted vulnerability. It is a map, a location, a fixed point that doesn't care about your fan base or your IMDb page. And when the court looks at the map, the answer is the same every single time. The alleged conduct did not happen in California. And that is why this case is collapsing, not because Baldoni is powerful, not because PR strategies exist, not because interviews were given. It's collapsing because Blake built a massive, theatrical, emotionally charged case in the wrong place. She brought a performance to a system that only rewards proof. She brought narrative to a building that only recognizes facts. She brought the energy of a celebrity expecting applause, and the court responded with silence. No matter how many filings she adds, how many pages she writes, or how many times she retells her story, the foundation doesn't move. Everything she's built is sitting on sand, and the tide has already started to take it back. This isn't Baldoni destroying her case. This is gravity doing its job.
That's my opinion!